I'd forgotten that's one of my favorite parts, meeting the kids and our staff for good work that they've done. Thank you, guys. Go make an A tomorrow. So next, we will have our superintendent's report, and Dr. Ross, your own.
Well, Madam Chair, members of the board, to our members of the community, it's certainly an honor to be here and to see those school board spotlights. I have to be honest with you, that's my first one. I really enjoyed that, and thank the parents and those students and teachers that have joined us tonight. So we really appreciate it. We know that behind every great student is a supportive parent and community that's working hard to get them to the places that they are today. So we really appreciate that. In terms of our school superintendent's report, I like to say that of many things, October is also National Principals Month. And so in October, we're reminded to thank the principals for what they do. They are a huge part of the glue that holds us together. So with that, I'd like to thank Principal Salva, who's the principal here at Dutch Fork Middle School. Thank you so much. And to your team, we thank you for hosting us. We know the efforts that you and your staff have to do to get ready to host us and to stay with us tonight. So we really appreciate you for your work. We thank all of our principals for their tireless work throughout the year. But I'd be remiss if we didn't mention that this year you have 53 principals throughout the United States that go and are honored at a national retreat for principals. Now, this year with COVID, they could not do it at Washington, D.C., but nonetheless, we will honor our own Dr. Gerald Gary, who represents the state of South Carolina for the NASSP, which is the National Association of Secondary School Principals. So we thank our own Dr. Gary for doing an amazing job of representing the state of South Carolina. In terms of supporting education, NASSP does a great job of supporting educators, but on the local level, we want to thank our foundation. The District 5 Foundation also does an amazing job in supporting our teachers through teacher grants. They fund a lot of the student grants that you will see from our STEM, students like our STEM programs. They also deal with our snack pack programs. We know that a lot of our students, when they leave home for the evening, especially over the weekends, the school meals are what they rely on. So those snack pack programs are a huge part of the work that they do. And we had a benefit for them, a fundraiser that was last week on October the 7th. And thank those who came out and support, those who were not able to attend but supported. Our sponsorships totaled $36,304.39. We did auctions, and I want to thank all of the schools for putting together lovely baskets and gifts to be auctioned out. With auctions and tickets, we did about $13,055.27. And so after expenses, that is raising between $40,000 to $41,000 that will go to our students and our teachers in our district. So we really want to thank the District 5 Foundation for its support and the hard work to support the mission and vision of our school. And speaking of mission and vision, as you know, that I committed to you on the first day was that we would follow a singular vision and align it with a mission to get the outcomes that we love. And that for this system to work, it would take the feedback of the community. And so we're working through this system asking three questions. The first question is why? Why do we do this work? Why do we work in District 5? The second question is how? And how will we accomplish that? And the third question is what? What are those outcomes? And if the feedback loop aligns with our 3 questions, then we have a system where all of our entities are working as one. And as you're reminded, our vision, our answer for the why question came back to our employees. We asked them at the beginning of the year, why do you work in District 5? And with a united voice, you heard them talk about school and community, and they were here to love and grow, and that 100% of them said it was about our students. And so our vision became very true, that we love and grow our students. Our executive team took that with the help of our chief of academics and academics and administration to build on that with a mission. And through all of our principals being involved, our directors being involved, we came up with a mission that I believe aligns with that notion of where we love and grow our students. And so I'd like to focus on just parts of that mission. And the first part being the academic, social, and emotional growth and development of our children. As we talk about our COVID update, I want us to be aware of the role that COVID is playing, not just on the health of our children and our staff, but the social, emotional health of our faculty and staff and our students. And so to that end, on Wednesday, September the 29th, from 6 to 7:30, we were very fortunate to have Suzanne Snyder. She is the mental health program manager for the South Carolina Office of Student Intervention Services. And what's very nice is that she gave us some strategies that we can use today as parents, as teachers, as those who work with children, to not only help ourselves through this process, but to help our children. I've asked them since the first day, how are the children? And I know that we cannot rest until all the children are well, but we were very fortunate to have Ms. Suzanne Snyder to help us find strategies. And one of the things, Madam Chair, members of the board, is the notion that time is love. How much time do we actually spend with our children to uncover their feelings, to help reassure them, and to give them strategies to move forward. So with that, we felt that we needed to continue these conversations, and would like to, at this time, Dr. Harris to talk about ways that he and his department are continuing those conversations with parents.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. On the heels of a number of different conversations, meetings with parents, community, staff, who have suggested topics in which we might explore to learn and to gain greater insight and information as to how we can better support our students and one another. 3 topics actually emerged and resonated more so than others. Those 3 topics were bullying awareness, substance abuse and use, as well as mental health. So we're under the leadership of our social work team and the support of our social emotional wellness committee and others, we have determined that we will look at those 3 topics over the course of the year, and will do so in all 3 of our geographical areas of Dutch Fork, Chapin, and Irmo. We will do that by exercising or making use of the session dates that are listed of Thursday, October 21st, Thursday, January 27, 22, as well as Thursday, April 21st of 22 as well. Each one of those 3 topics will be discussed in the geographical area at the conclusion of this course of the year. So they are on a rotating basis. We want to make certain that parents have the opportunity to have those topics that were of major interest in their backyard, in their neighborhoods. Certainly if a parent chooses to go to another area, they're certainly welcome to do so. But this highlights the 3 topics that resonated more so than others. We wanted to begin with those. We have 3 dates over the course of the year that we will share those topics on a rotating basis. And these topics will be held at Dutch Fork Chapin, Dutch Fork, and Irmo High Schools in person, recognizing our social distancing and mask wearing and things of that nature that we continue to do here throughout the district. And for those who are unable to participate in person, we will have a virtual option available. So we wanted to make certain that it is an opportunity that we can take full advantage of that which has been suggested to us and bring it to our schools and to our communities so that parents, staff, and students would have benefit of these three topics.
Thank you, Dr. Harris, and we certainly look forward to our parents engaging. Again, as Dr. Harris said, these will be in person, and we'll still have that virtual option available, so we look forward to these opportunities. And so as we're dealing with the social emotional impacts of COVID, we still see that we have to address things like bullying. October is Bullying Awareness Month, but that mental health is going to always be a part of this. But we also are, as we recognize today, keeping our community informed about COVID and its impact on our students. And so our COVID dashboard is, I think we're a little biased, but we are very impressed with it. And as we honored Mr. Holden and his team, I'd like him to come up and just kind of give us an update of what he's seen and where we are. This is our latest graph here of what's going on our COVID dashboard. If you can mind, Director Holden, giving us an update on the dashboard and what we're seeing.
There it goes. What we've seen over the last few weeks is a continued decline in the number of quarantines, isolated, and positive students. Obviously, we peaked at around 70 positive students in a given day, coupled with a number of quarantines and isolated students as a result of that. We've seen over the last few weeks as the county cases in Richland and Lexington have declined, we've also seen a decline in the number of positive cases reported to our schools. And so that has been the general trajectory. Dr. Ross asked last week what might constitute that gentle increase that we see in some cases for where we have a steep decline and then a steady increase. And the general conclusion, it could be a few things. One of the things we speculated about last week is that perhaps there's a climb there. If you look at those dates from Monday to Friday, and then kind of a reset point at the beginning of each week. But we did notice that. Does that speak to every possible fluctuation? It doesn't, but that's the general trend we've noted. Again, those cases are declining, and we are now at 2 of our schools are in mitigation level orange. The remaining schools and campuses are all at yellow. And so we're optimistic that the things we're doing are continuing to work and meet the needs of our students and staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Holden. Thank you for what you're doing. And I think what's a cool highlight, and again, we're not out of this, right? So we continue to heavily encourage the mask wearing, physical distancing, etiquette in terms of hand washing, advising those to confer with their doctors about vaccination. So we're using all the tools, but what I love to see about today is that we have more students in school today than we did on the first day of school, and since the first day of school. So that is something certainly to be very proud of. So going back to that mission that was brought to us, we talked about equitable learning environments. And as we stated last week, that equity is fairness, is justice. It's what we've just pledged to make sure that it was justice for all. And we looked at justice in a myriad of ways in terms of our facilities. As we talked about, while we're one district, we do know that we have attendance zones in 3 areas. And that if you look at those 3 areas and how much was spent in terms of construction figures, we wanted to make sure that there was parity, that there was equity in the amount that we were spending. And so I would like to add, and my clicker's not clicking here, but there we are. I would like to add that one of the things that I would like to correct when I first gave this presentation was when we talked about the newer schools being in the Dutch Fork area. But we do need to highlight that while Dutch Fork Elementary School is in the Dutch Fork area, it's one of the oldest facilities that we have in the inventory of schools, and that school does need attention. And so I want to thank Mr. Beatonbow with the energy savings program that will allow us to address not only the lighting, but the ceiling tiles and the HVAC, and that will help us improve the air quality in that building. We know the historical value of that building. We know its importance to the community, and so part of that plan is to invest in its school and the air quality therein. So I wanted to make sure that even though that's in the Dutch Fork attendance zone, we're still devoting funds to that school. But to that point, we will be looking at kind of long-range facilities equity plan that looks at it in the terms of athletics, arts, and academics. And so I'm asking Mr. Beatonbow if you'd come forward to talk about these capital projects.
Thank you, Dr. Ross, Chair Hammond, board members. Kind of want to give you a recap of what we discussed at the last board meeting and then touch on a little bit of what Dr. Ross said earlier. And I guess I'll talk about Dutch Fork Elementary, and we're currently in the process of doing an investment grade audit through energy savings, and we have 2 schools that they're reviewing right now. Those proposals are due November 1st, so we will, after that concludes, we will bring a proposal to the board for your approval. So they will be looking at, obviously, Dutch Fork Elementary to look at lighting, HVAC, looking at ways to improve the school with energy savings. So we're excited about touching Dutch Fork Elementary and the possibility of looking at some other schools. So as soon as we have that, but we do think this is one way to reach Dutch Fork Elementary, and it is an older facility, and hopefully it will update them and give us something to continue to be proud of at Dutch Fork Elementary. And so we'll bring that to the board after that. Those proposals will do November 1st. We have 2 plans we want to talk a little bit about as an update. As Dr. Ross said, we're trying to give equity in our schools in the education process. So we have 8% funds that we're requesting to do some work. We have the East Wing at Irmo High School that was built in 1964, and obviously you're aware through your tours that the first floor they added to the second floor, which makes it impossible for us to do a lot of things with technology and security of the campus. So we are requesting a new East Wing at Irmo High School, and we have a cost estimate of that. And we're also looking at a new roof for Irmo High School to the tune of about $50 million is our estimated cost at this point. We gave you a rundown of capital dollars from our last meeting. We're fortunate enough that we have energy savings and we have ESSER funds that we're looking at. So we'll be able, hopefully, to use both of those methods to improve. So we have changed our capital program for this year coming and the year following based on being able to do energy savings and through ESSER funds. So we've asked, I was going to kind of run through those capital needs. They're obviously for roof replacements, ventilation, HVAC, technology, vehicle replacement. So we're requesting $15 million for that. So I'll kind of go by school in our $15 million capital proposal. So we have field replacement turfs. It's an 8-year cycle. We're in year 10. Our athletic programs have done a great job taking care of those artificial fields. So we're excited, but they're now in a situation where we need to replace those. So at Chapin High, we were proposing that to be replaced. And then our stadium at Chapin High School, it's not up to 5A standards. We can't host several events that we need to host there, unlike just Friday night football games. So we're hoping to bring that up to the same size stadium or equal to 5A standards as Dutch Fork and Irmo High School. so we can allow that. So we would ask to bring that stadium up to 5A standards. It currently seats 3,961, and we would like to bring it to 6,500 seats to host those events, and that would include replacing the press box, new concession stands, visitor locker rooms, and a potential classroom space. We're also looking at replacing the Crossroads Gym that was installed in 1993 as part of that project, and field replacement turfs for all 3 high schools. And then the track at Dutch Fork High School is in pretty disrepair, and we're asking for that to be replaced. And then we have our technology needs. Ms. Garris and her staff has done a phenomenal job in keeping our technology so our students can learn through technology, and so she has done a good job of capturing what we need her to do as far as what components need replacing. But part of that is we have 6 firewalls, and this year in the 22-23 we're hoping to replace 3 of those firewalls, so that's a new addition for firewalls. And then we have our activity bus. Mr. Wiseman has done a great job of keeping our fleet up and keeping our students safe, and so we're proposing to replace one of our activity buses. Dr. Ross, that concludes, and we will come back again after energy savings.
Right.
You have a question?
I've got a question.
Yeah.
I was made aware by one of our citizens that, I didn't know this, but Harbison West Elementary School and Nursery Road Elementary School basically have the same design footprints.
Yes, sir.
And last week we talked about Harbison West Elementary Schools in regard to, I'm sorry. I'm getting the committee meetings and the board meetings mixed up, but we talked about Harbison West with the security items under, you have it on here, health room and security improvements district-wide. And we talked about Harbison West in regard to their entryway and the security there. And I was told that Nursery Road has the same footprint and has the same problem. So
Yes,
I
sir.
would like for you to, to investigate Dr. Ross, putting both of those in the same regard, because, the same problem exists at 2 locations. That was basically my, not a question, but a statement.
Yes, sir. What we're doing is we had A3 Communications come out to Harbison West, and they're making a proposal right now. And after we get their proposal, we hope to look at Nursery Road 2. We're just trying to get the cost, and then, if we may need to come back to y'all, but we're using that from the old capital dollars to look, and we should be able to do the same for Nursery Road. We're just waiting on that proposal to come back so we can have more information.
Any other questions for Mr. Beatonbaugh? None? Okay. Dr. Ross.
Thank you, Mr. Beatonbaugh, for that update. Also, going back to our mission, we talk about college and career ready, and I had Director Holden to look at kind of the last 3 years of how we were doing in terms of preparing all students to be college and career ready. And as Director Holden says, there's a report that comes out in October of every year. It's following the previous graduation year, and it's called the College Freshman Report. We look at the last 3 years, we see a steady trend of what's going on with our graduating seniors. This represents 2018, graduating class of 2019, graduating class of 2020. And we see consistently over the last 3 years, the trend is that we average about 77% of our graduates will end up either in a 2-year institution or a 4-year institution to receive a degree or getting their technical degree. Consistently, about 3% are in the armed forces, and we're certainly proud of that. And then the other 20% is half going into the workforce, and half we do not know. It could be that they haven't sent back their reports on where they are following the October of their graduating year. And so what we're looking at is what can we do to prepare those students, that 20%, that definite 10% that we know are going into employment, and understanding the 10% delta in terms of where they're doing after school. And so if we look at our Career Ready report, which is reported by the state on our school report card, we see that career readiness is measured by a lot of different factors. One of the factors, Madam Chair, members of the board, is what's called the WIN test. WIN stands for Worldwide Interactive Network. You may be familiar with this because we look at students who have silver, gold, or platinum, and that's represented by the green bar second to the bottom. And students who earn silver and above are considered career ready. Well, we had an emergency meeting on Wednesday, September the 29th at 9 o'clock with the South Carolina Department of Education to be informed that ACT, which is the owner of WorkKeys, sued the Worldwide Interactive Network for copyright infringement, and ACT won. The U.S. District Court in Tennessee has allowed 4 states, and we're one of those states, who were WIN clients, to give the full assessment of this test. But after that, the WIN goes away. And so we do not know at this time what the new Career Ready assessment will be, but it will be something in the spring. And so to that point, we wanted to look at other ways in which we can make sure that our students are being career ready. Now, and Dr. Turner will tell you, as we post our Help Wanted signs out, just like the rest of the community, we're posting Help Wanted, and it's hard to fill these positions. And so we've come up with a way to address the number of students who do not have these work-based experiences. Employers are saying to us, we want students that have, that come work ready, career ready, that know how to come to work on time, to communicate, to collaborate, and to be productive workers. And so with that, we'd like to present to you the First Jobs Initiative. And this objective is to give our students age 16 and over state-approved work-based learning experiences right here in our district. I want to thank the executive team and Dr. Turner, who has led this initiative, to make sure that we are in good legal standing with this program, as we're going to be paying our student workers to fill some of these jobs that we can't fill. And we have a lot of students that are in study hall, so it won't disrupt their schedule, that they can fill these positions. And so if we're holding up the Job Wanted sign, we have tomorrow's workers in our classrooms today. So what will they be doing? We have a timeline that's set up. We're going to bring to Ms. Gardner's committee recommendations of policies on October the 20th, bring back to the board for first reading those policies on October 25th, and by November, we'll have that final reading of the board policies. We hope, if everything goes well, that we can have our first Jobs Initiative work fair, student jobs work fair, in December of 2021. They can help out with the positions that they can fill. As student workers will be custodial positions, food services, basic maintenance, clerical assignments, landscaping. And we've heard a lot about the bus shortages. Now, they can't drive the bus, but when they receive their high school diploma and they've completed our CDL school bus endorsement, as they will be trainees. And at the age of 18, successfully completing the CDL program and receiving their diploma, they will be eligible to drive buses. Now, they still have to get past Dave Wiseman, but we're excited about providing that candidate base. But the exciting thing is that we can fill today's jobs with today's students, and we can give them that experience. We will be working with the CDFs, which is education speak for career development facilitators. And these are people who can help us teach children how to work, getting up on time, showing up, clocking in, clocking out, handling a resume, interview skills, all of those things to get our students a leg up in the workplace. So we're excited about the First Jobs Initiative and look forward to bringing it back to this board. Again, all of this comes because we have multiple tools to work with our children, and the most powerful of those is love. And so we thank you for your attention to the matters that we bring to you in today's superintendent's report, and that concludes our report, and we stand for any questions.
That's probably one of the most exciting presentations I've heard, that we're going to have a work-based skill program for these kids. It's awesome. It does things for not only for the school, but most importantly for that child. Yes.
I want to take a minute for a point of personal privilege, but I want to thank Dr. Ross. Several weeks ago, I don't know whether the community knows it or not, but Dr. Ross and new CTE Director Prigge and I and the president of Midlands Tech and former board chair Paula Height met, and we discussed the ways that we could interact with Midlands Tech. So we discussed internships that we're actively seeking. The town of Irmo, I think, is going to help us with that. I've been working hard at it. Apprenticeships and dual credit with the Midlands Technical College. And this right here is the third leg of the stool. So we have three things going on that are new to the district since our interim superintendent came here. And we're working very hard to make that happen in a manner that everybody can be proud of, so that the children or the students that we have can interact with people in business, kick the tires around a little bit and get to know one another, get some work experiences while they're in high school, and just maybe they'll form some relationships that will help them go to college without as much expense as otherwise would be.
Thank you. Any questions, Ms. Huddle?
Yes, I have a question about the First Jobs. A couple of board meetings ago, Dr. Ross, I believe you went over the school report card, and I and a couple other board members asked some questions about the graduation rate at Irmo High School. And unfortunately, I think some of the teachers and other people took it as criticism, and it was by no means criticism, it was concern that we would like to make sure that the graduation rates are as close to 100% as possible. So I'm curious your thoughts on the First Jobs program. Do you think that's one element that may help improve graduation rates?
I definitely think so. I think it's another tool, and we will have an update on our accountability report. I think one of the lessons we learned is that the data files from the State Department come out after we get the school report card. But the larger question is, what tools do we have to help kids get across the line? And when we're talking about that 10 to 20% a year of students who are not going to 2-year, not going to a 4-year, not going into the military, this is a way to engage them. There are so many things that happen that prevent a child from going across that stage. We don't want any of them to be a notion of food insecurity or working until close and at 11 o'clock. And so having a way for them, they're currently in school, using the study halls, having after-school opportunities, I think this is a way to engage them. They can see school as not only a place where they can learn, but it's also where we can develop them into future workers of tomorrow. They see that right now today. So it's just another tool that our school principals, our school counselors, our CDFs have to engage those students. And I really believe, just anecdotally, that we will see a way to engage students that we probably weren't engaging before.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes, Ms. Hines?
I also have a couple of questions about the Jobs First program, which I think is a great program. My questions are more logistic related. So do you have an estimated amount, an estimated number of positions that will be available across the board? Will this program be available to all high school students? And will the positions only be at high schools? And if they are not, and I know when we were at Harbison West, we talked about how a student could come to Harbison West and help clean up the front of the building, and there's some tasks that definitely would be beneficial to have a student there. If that was the case, is the district providing transportation for those students? Just logistic questions.
Great questions. And we help to work a lot of these out as we are building our guiding documents. So I think in our policy committee, we'll flush a lot more of these out. But conceptually, right, when you asked Mr. Beatonbow about the landscaping crew, right now we're down to just cutting, right, and not pulling weeds because they have labor shortages. So I believe that these students we can have at all 24 sites doing landscaping. You're right, we do have to work out transportation, but as we do with classes, we provide transportation to the center, to other places. So this is a class, which is cool, and so we would have those transportation opportunities. They would also have those opportunities at their home site. So I think that's well. For the first year, we want to pilot because there is no additional budget for this. So the way we're funding this is using our current operational budget, and for every position we don't fill with an adult worker, we believe that we can fill between 2 to 3 positions with the students workers. So that way it will pilot in December. We have not made the final decision, but we believe that Irmo High School might be just kind of the first place to start with this. And but those students can serve all 24 sites in terms of these positions. I just know there's certain, I'll say, proprietary things we're working out with legal in terms of there are a lot of hills we have already climbed in terms of child labor laws and what it requires to pay students while on campus, how to help them manage money and things of that nature. So we're excited about Dr. Turner's work on building that manual there. Great questions.
And if I saw that right, it's not up there now, but it would be the 16-year-olds, so that would be the age limit.
16 would be the youngest
you could take,
do.
because of law.
And I think our first one would be to work with seniors and then juniors, but the policy we would have one, and then we could always work within that. And in the next budget, we would look at how do we grow this so that we can serve it at all of our high schools, right? Because this is a need for all of our 16, 17, and above students. So 10th grade, 11th, and 12th grade students.
They'll be so excited about, earning potential. And so many students wonder, even though it's important, they don't understand why they take a lot of the courses. Why do I need this? And this just makes school, to me, relevant to them. Even if they have to learn how to write and how to spell, then they've got a reason, and it goes together at school. I love it. I love it.
I'll say this, and I didn't mention it, because I'm very excited about this program, but for a lot of us, we talk about college and career. But for a lot of us, there was a bridge between school and career, and that was our first job. And so for us to have these students here where they can get credit for it and learn how to be successful in that first job, I think when they go into the workforce, they're that much prepared to be productive members of our society. So I look forward to the fruits of this work.
Thank you. You got one more question? Sure.
I have one more question about the COVID mitigation levels, if that's okay. My question is related to the yellow and level 3 and where the numbers say that would fall between, on the dashboard, between 5 and 9.99%. And the 2 orange schools in our district are Chapin Elementary and Irmo Elementary. And all of the schools around them, I mean, the community spread would be the same, and I see that their numbers are in like the 3% range. So what is making those 2 schools different than their counterparts nearby?
Great question. The typical issue we're seeing there is that during we do a window of dates that we look at to determine the upcoming mitigation level. Mm-hmm. So during the window of the prior Thursday to last Wednesday, which I believe was September 30th to October 6th, those 2 schools had they were above that 10% range. What happened immediately after that is they came down within that range, so that when you look at it today, they are probably at a yellow because they're below 5%. But at the time of the mitigation levels determination, which was that previous Thursday to Wednesday, they were above that 10%. Immediately after that, students come off of quarantine, but we try to announce the mitigation levels a few days in advance of the week starting, so schools have a chance to prepare. So we announce those on a Thursday, and that's timed with the DHEC release as well. So it's that's the issue there, is that, and we had that happen the week before as well, where some schools had a higher percentage after the mitigation levels were announced than the schools at Orange. And so that's going to be an inevitable part of this as we work to balance it out and make the right decisions.
Okay, and you may have already said that. I was just, as I was looking at it, I couldn't figure it out in my mind, so I appreciate you repeating.
That was a question we anticipated throughout, and so I'm happy we had the chance to address it and clear up any confusion about it, because we know that's one of the more confusing elements of that process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Good questions, board. Item 10, unless there's any other questions on any of the superintendent's report. And I will have to concur with you, Mr. Lovelace, about Dr. Raines at Midlands Tech. That is such a wonderful program, and our kids can get some of those college, credits done, and it's so much less expensive, and they can do it while they're in school.